Hey! Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to talk about the secret they slid into the industrial update that maybe you missed, or even if you caught it, you may think to yourself, I mean, that's cute, but where am I ever going to use this? Well, how about you're inside of your base, your loot rooms are all open, and a raid breaks out outside. And all of the doors automatically close because it detected the raid. Or let's say you're out on a tugboat doing oil rig in the moon pool, or even at the sulfur quarry. Wouldn't it be nice to know when that base is getting raided, whether you're at main base or at sulfur quarry? Well, you can do that with this. The page is going off here. And more to the point, we'll actually shut this off so we don't lose our minds. Let's say you have two bases next to each other and you have high value loot in one of them. This represents a base, and this represents a base. Let's say your best loot is in this base here. Let's say right here, and then the raiders happen to pick the best base with all of the loot inside. Wouldn't it be nice if all of this transported the loot to the other base? Well, when a raid breaks out, that's possible. See how all this is active here? Now you can see the loot being sucked out of this base and then pushed into the other base. All of this is entirely possible. Look at that in real time. Woo, baby, that's hot. And it goes all the way over here. All of this is possible in real time with the new item they slid into this update called the Seismic sensor. Yes, this thing is amazing, and it did just recently get added in PC about a month ago. So the fact that we got this on top of the industrial update is amazing. So we're going to show you a breakdown and a few examples and how and where you can use this. You can combine it, modify it. So yeah, it's awesome. There were old ways to do this, by the way, which are still valid, but this is a lot more intelligent than the old way. So all right, so this is a Workbench 2 item. Down here, it costs 3 high quality and 1 tech trash. So since it's so far down, you probably want to research it when you do find it. And we'll show you a basic breakdown here. Hopefully these lights aren't too crazy, just in case it's nighttime. We'll show you a basic setup here. So what you want to do is you want to send the seismic sensor at least 3 power in order to get all of the signals that you're looking for. And this is how it's so smart. So I'm going to configure this. It's already at 3. We'll just set it again. And once you have that, it knows the difference between different types of raid materials. So in this case, when this goes off here, hopefully I think our other stuff's going to go off when we do this. You're going to see the little sensor on top says it's a 1. So you know that obviously fragmentation grenades are not, or F1 grenades are not a threat as far as raiding, but Explo rounds are. So you can see that it's a 2. So you can start to see how this is being used. And then we'll throw this here, C4, and that'll come off as a 3. So will rockets. Oh, go ahead. Come on now. The page is going off. We're going to have to shut it off. There you go, 3. So you know if rockets or C4 are happening outside of your base. But you'll also notice that it flickers. It just sends a burst and then it stops. So we'll show you how this is added to more complex circuits. Let me go ahead and shut these off before I lose my mind. We'll get this one reset over here. All right, so this is done actually through the top here. So let's say you wanted to have like anything 2 and above. You would connect it to something else that consumes 2 units of power. And then you would have the thing that you want to be active. So let's just say it's the blue siren. So then that way, the blue siren is the one that is your item, right? So then anything above, anything basically that's dangerous to your base will then go off here. So we're actually just consuming that extra unit of power here with that light. I don't think we need this right now because it's daylight. So that's how you do anything raiding materials and above. So if like I shoot this here, see how that's going off, but then let's say we set off for fragmentation. I'm going to have to reset this again. Don't get wrecked. You see how the red light goes off, but the blue doesn't? There you go. So basically you consume the amount of power that you need before you push it on. But you'll also notice that since it's a burst of power, it can be a bit tricky to implement somewhere else. So we're going to show you how to do the alarm or siren portion of this over here. By the way, I don't know if I covered this, but you can set the radius of this. We're going to go ahead and set this to like, I don't know, 3. That's in meters. And just so you know, each a standard foundation is 3 by 3 meters. And each of these tiny squares, fun fact, on a standard stone foundation is a meter. Did you know that? Did you know that? Alright, so we set that one lower. Let's go ahead and put the seismic sensor up. I like to put I usually leave a little bit of room in case you need a branch down there, and I can't remember if did we cut this off as a branch? I think we did because we have it scanning all the time. We do. Even though there's a branch here, that's just technically our power source. So our main power source comes out here. Then what I like to do is because the seismic sensor always needs to be on, so it's always good to have a branch somewhere. So let's say you have, actually this is probably a good time to show this right now. Typically you have your circuits you turn on and off, right? You always want to put this just before the light switch itself. Actually, let's slide this over so this other branch isn't so confusing. So let's say this represents something else you're going to be turning on. You want to make sure that the branch is being fed before the switch, so your seismic sensor is always detecting. Because if it doesn't have power, it can't really detect anything, can it? No, it can't. We'll just kind of slide it over here and then slide it up. Then everything after this will be red. Red is power. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but the electrical systems have been updated. They need power, but they don't consume power, so you can make much more complex circuits when you need to, which is great. So because the switch is here, we can kind of put this little guy right here. We can knock this one out real fast. Beep. And then we'll connect this one with the red cable, and we'll make sure that it has at least 3 units of power. It won't need 3 units of power until it's actually going to flash. It will constantly consume 1 unit of power, and I know that's a little bit confusing, but you know, that's just kind of how it works now. And we'll make this like, I don't know, 10 units or something. Then what we want to do is make sure that it's going to go off to and then activate a broadcaster. So in this case, we're going to have everything controlled, because remember, it's a burst of power that's going through here. The memory cell is best paired with this, because then you can use this to kind of switch things on and off if you need it to do that. And you will, pretty much, right? So what this is going to do is this is going to set off the alarm. So the output for this is going to go to this guy here, which is the, whoops, set, which we're going to make this green, because that's going to activate this. And then what we want to do here is take our main power and then plug it into the memory cell. So the memory cell is basically a smart switch. It's kind of like this, but it's not like this. I just put this there so you kind of know that you need a branch before everything else, because the seismic sensor is so important to have on at all times. But let's say you had other things here. Let's say you had lights and like heaters and stuff. But anyway, so this is powering the bottom of the memory cell. And this is going to tell it when to turn on. So it detects a RAID, and then it pushes this to set. Oh, by the way, before we do this, slide this down here. This is always a good rule when you're using memory cells. The toggle switch, just pipe it right into a red switch in case you need to toggle the states in real time. Because remember, it's the on state and then the off state. So we have 2 outputs on the memory cell. We have output and input. Output is going to be where the siren goes, or even the broadcaster. You know what? Let's do both. Let's get crazy. Let's say the siren represents the RAID, and we'll have a broadcaster down here that's going to broadcast the signal. You can probably start to see where this is going. So the output goes from here. Let's just make this a yellow line. Probably makes more sense. And then the output through here is going to go down to the broadcaster. So this would be anything that you want to be turned on when this is active. So the state of being rated is currently active. So we can actually, because there's no RAID being detected, we can actually toggle the state here, because remember we have the toggle switch. So when it's on, the light's going to go off, and then the broadcaster is going to go active. Let's go ahead and set the frequency to 51, whoops, 51, 51. Then hold the action button, bingo. And then let's grab the pager, let's set that one to 51, 51. By the way, when we're in privacy mode, it would be nice if we just had the same thing we have for door locks, because privacy mode's on and you can totally see the numbers. That's wild. Okay, so now what's going to happen is when this detects a RAID, this pager is going to go off. So if we hit this, we're just simulating a RAID, and you can hear that it's going off. And then, like we did before earlier, if we need to shut it off, you do it like that. Because you probably just want it to keep going off until it's not, until you shut it off. So it does work inside of boxes. You can turn it on silent mode as well. Let me go ahead and do that. It's just like a vibrate sound. So there you go. All right, so let's go ahead and show you that this does work. And we'll show you how to set it up so it's going to consume or just go off when there's things like RAID happening. A RAID happening, jeez. RAID, words. All right, so we place that on top. Let's go ahead and drop a fragmentation grenade. Because, you know, the thing is, if this was going off like this, people would be able to troll your base or pump fake it because they have, like, things like the F1 grenade setting it off. So you don't want that, right? Or maybe you do, who knows? But if you don't, like most of us, what you want to do, well, let's first turn that off, and then we're going to take that green cable again. Green cable. and put it through this siren, and then have it go to set, which is essentially just means on. So now, if this goes off at fragmentation, all it's going to do is just make the little blue light go on, but it's not going to activate the actual alarm. So it didn't actually set this, because the power went through. Let me show you the cable here, even though it's like connected, because it had, what is this? 2 units of power going through, right? So the 1 unit of power went here to power this, and then it consumed all of it. So then it didn't have enough to push it out here to then activate the rest of the circuit. So because we had something in the middle consuming that unit of power, that's how we set it to things like exflow rounds setting it off. So watch, ready? Now you can see that this siren went off, and then our pager's going off. Or if you just want it to be rockets, you would put another siren there to consume that other unit of power to move it forward. So let's go ahead and just show that real fast, and then we'll show you the door example. This pass-through is now going to go in here. Beep. And now this guy is going to go into the set. Let's just make them progressively cooler colors, shall we? Let's make that blue, and then let's make this one darker blue. So you can kind of tell what's happening here. Actually, can you even see that? Wow, when you back up, that like disappears. That's crazy. All right, so now if we shoot exflow rounds close to it, it's still not enough to set off the whole circuit. These two are going off. Well, they were. But now if we were to drop something like C4 or a rocket, it will set off the circuit. So we're looking for the red siren to go off. And the pager. Bing. There, you can hear it. Alright, so now let's do the same idea over here to have the doors automatically close. By the way, since we had electronics update, our door controllers have updated. There's a bit of a glitch, so you probably want to place the door controller first before you place the locks everywhere, but you don't have to authorize them anymore, which is kind of great. So what we're going to do is place those, and then we're going to put locks on all these bad boys. I don't think I did that yet. We're in Builder's Paradise, so I'm just going to quick craft these real fast. A whole stack. Because, I mean, what good does the door do if it's open? Right? If you can't close it and lock it. Here's why you want this one placed first, because this locks here. If you ever have the lock on there, just take it off, place the door controller, and then you're good to go. So we don't have to worry about that authorization phase. Now, do we? What I like to do first, just real fast, is connect all these. So let's say this is going to be our main power input for the whole thing. These all have pass-throughs, so we can just send the power across to the other doors in a giant daisy chain. So, by the way, the cables do stick out, which is kind of obnoxious right now. In the future, these are supposed to bend with the door. And I'm not sure if we're going to have an option in the future to move around that location, because if you're trying to make a trap base, it kind of defeats the purpose sometimes, question mark, if you can see the door controller that you're trying to hide. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I know this is testing branch. Things will change, but just something I thought about. Because watch, when I open this door, and I pass this over here, you're going to see it's just kind of floating there. You're like, what? Place this down, and then it should go through the door into this guy. So essentially, when our whole circuit goes off, these are going to open and close. Now, the way these work, or they should work, is when things fail, everything closes. It does now have on and off inputs here. I'm not using any of those. Basically, when the door controllers don't have power, they automatically shut no matter what state the door is in. But here, you can see that little wire glitch thing, right? Like, that looks... Can you imagine having a door open and you walk up, you're like, I wonder if this door is a trap. Well, first there's a giant light, and then there's a stick. But anyways, I digress. So that's... everything's wired up for these door controllers here. And we're going to have virtually the same setup over here for this side. And again, as I said before, this will be where it starts. This is our power plug. And then we'll have a switch at the top here. Did we add a switch? We're still going to add a switch because that's just good practice. Because there's always other things past your door controller or past your circuit. The switch. A couple in case I messed up real bad. The switch here. And then our sensor. It'll be right here. A little bit higher. I always like to have them kind of lined up, so I'm such a stickler for it. So main power is coming from here. And we'll just have it go on the baseboard. Whoops, on the baseboard. It's so nice when you have a bunch of branches now, they only use power when they're actually pulling power, which is fantastic. If anybody's done electronics, you know how annoying that was. So the first thing we're going to do with the branch, remember branch before the switch, we want to set it to 3, so we always have the high end. We can tell the difference between the raids. We're going to make this red and this red. And it's the same setup. The memory cell is going to be driving this for sure. And instead of it going into the set, which is on, we're going to have this go into the off position because we want it to kill the power to all of the door controllers. So I'm going to make this orange. Hot colors will be, you know, don't touch. Orange goes to set. I'm sorry, reset. I'm sorry, reset, reset. Reset is off. And we'll have the same setup with our toggle switch. It's just really good to have. Get in the habit of doing that almost every time. It's so easy because sometimes you need to have the circuit on for a second before you need to tweak something. It's super handy. I'm going to make it, I'm going to make it black. There we go. Beep. By the way, if you're looking to change the colors, hold the reload button with your wire cable and set it. If you want to change the color to the active, set the new color, right, like this, and then walk up to the node and then tap reload. Whoops, and then tap reload like this. There it goes. Let's make that black. Or gray, whatever. Okay, so the main power is going to come out of our main switch and then go into the bottom of the memory cell itself. Okay, so we have everything connected here. What you can do is you really want to have a siren light connected to the inverted output into the siren so you know when to hit the toggle button to reset the circuit. Let me go ahead and make that hot pink. And then we'll make it a cool blue that goes and sets the door controllers out here. So when this is on, sorry, off, when this is turned off, everything should be unplugged. So essentially door controllers fail shut. So when there's no power, they just automatically shut. So you want them to always be on. And then people can manipulate the doors any way they want. And so the reason why we have the siren is this circuit's not on. So we want it to be on, so everything opens. And so we know the circuit's ready to go. So then we can go around and use the doors however we desire. Open, close, whatever. And then when it detects a raid, it's automatically going to shut and then the siren's going to go off. It's important that this is connected to the inverted output and not the main input in a daisy chain. Just so you kind of know to reset. So we'll show you what we're talking about. So this door is open and this door is closed, right? So if we shoot, everything automatically shuts and the siren's going off, letting you know that there's activity outside. But also, if you want the circuit to be reset back to a detection state, you have to hit the old toggle button one more time for that to be active. And then again, you can have this go around any way you desire. Our alarm's going off. So you can see how this seismic sensor is quite amazing and super powerful because of all the different ways you can plug this in, including this unrateable base configuration that is super OP. And it should already be up on the end screen now if it's not already, and hopefully we'll see you in the next live stream /video. Love you. Bye! Oops, oops.